Dark Souls 3 has 43 different achievements that we'll have to get to 100% the game. This includes defeating every boss, seeing every ending, collecting every spell, ring, and gesture, and of course, conquering the stairs. Oh, and Bubblegum is going to attempt to do so at level 1. And there's only one class in the game that starts at that level. We've got a club, a few planks of wood, and a loincloth. But before I could even load in, my chat noticed a huge problem. This is for 100% achievements, so this challenge is technically impossible. Wait. Turns out that one of those ending achievements requires you to level up 5 times. Oh shit. Believe it or not, I eventually found a solution to this problem, but we'll talk about that later. For now, we can light our first bonfire and challenge Gungnir. Alright, here we go, first boss. Despite appearances, Bubblegum's bong stick was surprisingly effective. Alright, very easy, but it's gonna get a lot harder from here. After saying a quick hello to Andre and Pickle P for 2 gestures, I clubbed my way through the high wall in search of a new weapon, because this club will only take us so far. However, with level 1 stats, our options are quite limited. Of the few weapons that I could wield, I decided to go with the broadsword. It's quick, has a great moveset, and respectable damage. And while searching for Titanite shards to upgrade it, my chat was lobbying for me to try and defeat Dancer. They told me we'd get access to tons of new upgrade materials to nearly max out our weapon, alongside incredibly useful rings to buff our stats. So after upgrading a raw broadsword to +2, I had made my decision. Sorry. Alright, Bubblegum. Gotta lock you in here, okay? You've already conquered 2 Dark Souls games. What has the Dancer conquered? I'm not really sure. I don't know the lore. Hey, the damage isn't terrible. Oh, we don't die to one hit. At least from that attack. Considering we have no armor and we're level 1, I was shocked we could even survive a hit. But something told me that wouldn't be the case in phase 2. Oh. Oh my god. Didn't have any stam, she just missed. Come on. Dude, we did it first try. Alright, GG's. Holy shit. This'll be easy. This is gonna be so easy. I would eventually eat those words, but for now I pressed onwards in my blissful ignorance and fought Vort, because before we can even use those late game upgrade materials, we had to finish up with the regular Titanite shards found past this boss. And going straight from Dancer to Vort was quite the experience. Okay. Goodbye, Vort. We will see you again. In the Undead Settlements, I found 2 more Covenants, freed the Pyromancer, and found the last few Titanite shards that we needed. But before heading back for those upgrade materials, I decided to take our now +3 broadsword for a spin on the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. We just one-shot that, by the way. We don't even have the large Titanite shards. We're gonna be so broken. Good game. So apparently the knights in this area guaranteed drop a large Titanite shard. There's also a bunch of chunks to be found. However, I was in for a rude awakening. Oh! I tried a few more times. Oh. But in our current state, farming large shards off of these guys was not viable. However, I had a plan, and to execute it, we would have to reach the Cathedral of the Deep Bonfire. So, I quickly wrapped up the Undead Settlement by freeing Arena, and helping Sigurd take down the Fire Demon for a gesture. Then, I sped through the Road of Sacrifices, where we got an achievement for discovering the Blue Sentinels, and for defeating the Crystal Sage. And finally, after a short trek to the Cathedral of the Deep Bonfire, I was able to pick up the Paladin's Ashes. If we then hand over these ashes to the Handmaiden, we'll now be able to purchase Lloyd's Shield Ring, a ring that reduces damage taken by 20% if the player is at full health, which in theory should prevent us from being one-shot by these knights. No! We're gonna be here for a little while, but we're slowly getting it. Theoretically, we'll get better as we go as well. Yeah, not exactly. While I was killing them here and there, it still took a while just to get our broadsword to +4. So before trying again, I traveled inside the cathedral and picked up the Lloyd's Sword Ring, which will boost our damage by 10%, again, only while we're at max HP. And now that the knights went down after just 2 parries, I had enough large Titanite shards in no time. With our now +6 broadsword, I spent about 30 minutes picking up the Titanite chunks we needed at Lothric Castle. And thanks to the free slab and the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, we can already max out this broadsword. Yeah, look at that. And that's an achievement. My next goal was to obtain the Prisoner's Chain, a ring that boosts your vigor, endurance, and vitality by 5. That's 15 levels worth of stats, which is obviously invaluable in a solo level 1 run. However, to get it, we'd have to defeat 2 more bosses, starting with Osiris the Consumed King. Let's see how much damage we do. We have +10. So, okay, I was hoping for a lot more. Oh my god. As you can see, your stats do a lot of the heavy lifting for your damage in Dark Souls, because this damage certainly didn't feel like that of a maxed out weapon. Oh. What is he doing? What is bro doing? Oh! Oh, this is gonna suck. To be honest, I've never found Osiris to be that bad, but that's because his seemingly instant charge attack doesn't normally one-shot you. I couldn't spot any sort of tell for this attack, so instead, I threw on an Ember and hoped for the best. Oh my god. There we go. Oh, and for those wondering what we did with all the souls that we were gaining since we can't level, I poured them into helpful consumables like embers and also the various spells that we needed for achievements. And then we can have a look at the boss soul items, see if there's anything to pick up while we're at it. But unbeknownst to me, I was about to make the single greatest mistake of the run. You just made farming a lot more obnoxious. Oh, I didn't get the sword. Oh, no. No. Oh, do we reset? That may seem like a wild question, but the Crystal Sage Rapier is one of the few weapons in the game that can boost your item discovery. Why is item discovery important? Well, if we take a look at the 100% DS3 world record, we can see that out of the 13 hours in the run, 11 of them are spent farming Covenant drops. And for those of you asking, why don't you just get it in New Game Plus? Proceeding to the next game cycle would buff the enemies we need to farm. Enemies that I was already worried about at level 1. So I decided to just move on and hope for some good luck. If we travel past Osiris's arena, we can discover a hidden, very familiar looking area called the Untethered Graves. A near identical zone to the Cemetery of Ash, with a few key differences. Alright, let's give this a go. I'm gonna try my best to get parries in. Okay, that's good. Alright. Maybe this is really easy. Ow. Champion Gungnir has much faster attacks than Udex, and also has a brutal true combo attack that was a little too much for our puny level 1 health bar. So, it took a good 10 minutes of humbling before I would finally bring him down. Okay, we got him. GG's. Afterwards, I went into the shrine to pick up the Eyes of the Firekeeper and traveled to Pharaon Keep, where I was able to discover a new covenant. However, before we fight the boss of this area, I decided to backtrack to the cathedral because there's a couple quest lines there that I don't want to mess up. According to the wiki, after opening this door and reloading the game, Patches should show up by this bridge, but for whatever reason, he was nowhere to be seen. I was able to find Sigurd in this well, but in order to continue his quest line, we still had to find Patches. Thankfully, there's one more spot where you can find him. If we head up this tower back at Firelink, we can enter the top of the shrine, where with any luck, Patches will show up to lock you in. Unfortunately for Patches, FromSoft insists on injecting platforming sections into the games, so all we have to do is jump onto these coffins until we reach the bottom. And if we did everything right, we should now be able to find Patches at the top of Firelink. We didn't mess it up, gamers. Let's go. From here, to get both gestures, you just have to select Do Not. So, after all of that effort, we're still going to have to do it again in New Game Plus. But on the bright side, we can still continue Sigurd's quest by buying back his armor from Patches and throwing it down this well. And after defeating everybody's favorite Dark Souls 3 boss, we could finally challenge the Abyss Watchers. Wow. Dude. Absolutely gamed him. Despite the ridiculous amount of damage we were dealing, I found that we were just as squishy, so these guys were still kind of tough. Backstab. Backstab. Dishonest play style here, but you gotta do what you gotta do when you're only doing like 8 trillion damage. There we go. Like I said, this was not supposed to be so hard. Afterwards, I ran straight through the catacombs to the next boss. Okay, we're touching the goblet, chat, and we're gonna destroy some jewelry and get this tome. High Lord Wolnir is one of those really cool looking bosses that is really let down by his boss mechanics. He only takes damage through his bracelets and will die once you destroy all 3 of them, which is very easy to do, but you'll often find yourself just awkwardly standing around while you wait for him to put his arm down again. Lame fight, but at least it's easy. There we go. Okay, goodbye. Big stinker fight. After dealing with the beast on the bridge to Irithyll, we could use this summon sign to help Cirrus defeat a familiar looking NPC from Dark Souls 2, both for a ring and also that axe that he's wielding. I wouldn't realize it yet, but this Dragon Slayer axe happens to be one of, if not the best soul level 1 weapons in the game. As for the rest of Irithyll, it was the first area where I noticed myself having difficulties just playing through it. Our damage was more than adequate, but our health on the other hand, not so much. But there was one area in particular that I was most worried about, and after a brief meeting with Sigurd, it was time to give it a go. No! I've died countless times to this area on my properly leveled characters, So I figured it was about time that we picked up a proper shield to hopefully make it easier. Okay. Yes, finally. And with that, we could finally challenge Pontiff. I don't know if you can do it in phase 2, but if you just run to the end of the arena, he should do his jump attack. And that we can just parry easily. And do a shit ton of damage. Yeah. I don't think he's going to do it in phase 2, so we're just going to smack him here. Oh yeah, he's dead. He's so dead here. Alright, there we go. That wasn't so bad. With Pontiff defeated, we can get the Ring of Favor, discover 2 more Covenants, and reach the dreaded stairs. The Silver Knights in this area are the hardest enemies we'll be needing to farm for Covenant items. So, it was finally time to see how we fare against them at soul level 1. Like 2 backstabs. Alright, maybe this won't be that bad. That being said, I pushed off this hellish grind for now because I haven't mentally prepared myself for it yet. Just like how I wasn't prepared for Aldrich. I was trying to conserve my embers for the harder bosses, but to my surprise, this turned out to be one of those harder bosses because plenty of his attacks were one-shotting. So I begrudgingly used one, and that thankfully did a trick. There we go. Back at Firelink, I decided to set up the End of Fire ending, which is really easy to do, unlike a certain other ending. Simply hand over the eyes that we found in Angie Firelink to the Firekeeper, and you're good to go. From there, we could proceed to the Irithyll dungeon. But before taking on Yorm, my chat wanted me to clear another hidden area called Archdragon Peak. The first boss here is easily the worst in the entire game because it dies to a single plunge attack. So the boss fight, if you can even call it that, is just a test of how well you can run past enemies. Oh, and if you're wondering why our health bar has jumped up so much, it's because I finally remembered to put on the Prisoner's Chain. And it's a good thing I did. No. Oh, dude, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Oh! There we go. GG's. Hardest boss in the game. Yeah. As bad as this fight is, it's worth doing because afterwards you can experience one of the best bosses in the game, which also happens to be quite difficult at soul level 1. Oh! Phase 1 is generally super easy because the boss is super weak to lightning damage and usually dies within just a few hits. But at level 1, we needed to get several more hits in, which is a problem because as the Nameless King would demonstrate over and over, he didn't need nearly as many. So it took a few tries to get to phase 2. Oh, the damage isn't ideal. Uh-oh. Yeah, panic roll. I got pretty close in the next couple of attempts, but again, one mistake was all it took to send me back to the bonfire. Oh no, no, no. Ah, damn. I forgot. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what that did. But that's when my chat told me about some interesting tech for this fight. Do you know the look away strat? No, I don't. If you look away, does it just not hit you? That's crazy. How does that work? With one less attack to worry about, I managed to defeat him on my next attempt. Goodbye. And from there we could head back to the Profaned Capital, free Sigurd from his cell, and challenge Yorm. This final step of the quest is completely optional for the 100% run, but I wasn't about to deny the onion his aura farm. Dude. Unfortunately, he got bodied by the time I could pick up the Storm Ruler, but hey, it was a cool cutscene. Before heading to Lothar Castle to fight the last few bosses, I traveled down to the Smoldering Lake. There's a boss achievement down here, as well as various items to collect, some of which were pretty hidden. There was a ring behind this stone wall that had to be destroyed with a ballista bolt, another gesture from defeating Night Slayer Sorig, and finally, a pyromancy that was trapped within lava. Unlike in Elden Ring, lava will chunk your health bar in Dark Souls 3, so while that may not look too far away, I was doubtful we could reach it. But that's when my chat offered me some crucial advice. For some reason, you can hold up a shield to block lava damage in Dark Souls 3. Oh, easy! Dude, why can you block lava damage? That's a great question, but I'm glad we can because we can now move on to the Dragon Slayer armor. Things were going great on the first attempt. However, again, because we're nearing the endgame, this is one-shot territory for us. So all it takes is one mistake to ruin an attempt. Oh, it's a spinorama! And I swear I don't usually get hit by this attack that much, but maybe I just never noticed because we would normally survive it. Either way, Dragon Slayer armor proved to be more difficult than I was expecting. That went over me. Oh my god. This is not good. Heal. Just hit him. Just hit him. Alright, GG's. Next up is the Grand Archives, an area of the game that I had pretty neutral feelings towards, until this playthrough. Going through here at level 1 proved to be incredibly frustrating. Oh, dude. Oh. Come on. What? They can teleport again? Oh, just to here. Okay. You're dead? You're dead. Okay, crystal scroll. That was a pain in the ass, but we got it. Fortunately, the rest of the archives wasn't nearly as difficult, so I was able to run straight through, stopping only for the Hunter's Ring, final Bone Shard, and final Estus Shard. Perfect. There we go. Ultimate Bonfire. My shirtless homie. Let's get it done together. Ultimate Estus. And so it was now time to challenge the final Lord of Cinder, who was surprisingly not that difficult at soul level 1, because unlike Dragonslayer armor, the Twin Princes didn't seem to have any attacks that could one-shot us even while unembered. So I was able to defeat them on my second try. GG's. Which means that it's finally time to enter the Kiln of the First Flame, but not to fight the final boss. You see, I was feeling pretty cocky. Up until now, none of the boss fights have given us that much trouble. So, while it's completely optional for the 100% run, I committed to defeating all 6 of the DLC bosses, because how hard could they be? Ow. Ouch. Chill out, buddy. Oh. Now, as bad as this looks, believe it or not, we had a plan. You'll notice we've switched weapons to the Bandit's Knife, and admittedly, the base damage is quite pitiful at soul level 1. However, this weapon has innate bleed damage, and when paired with the Blood Infusion, it doesn't take long for blood loss to build up. Oh yeah, that was good. I got surprisingly close on that attempt, and on the attempt after that. GG's? Question mark? No, not GG's, not GG's. Okay. Demon Prince, here we go. What the fuck? Oh, he's tanky! Oh, no! Despite the solid bleed damage, I had been fighting that boss for nearly 10 minutes before I died, and we still had a ways to go. But this is the best I could come up with, so for the next one, I threw on an Ember to hopefully avoid getting one shot, and tried again. Okay, that's one. Alright, we're doing good. We still have 8 heals. I'm getting your toes. Come on. Yep. Yes! Yes! Let's go. That was like 3rd try. Alright, this DLC will be easy, guys. While the DLC rings aren't required for any achievements, I made sure to pick up the +3 versions of the Ring of Favor and Covetous Gold Serpent Ring because they will be invaluable in this run. And I've only cleared the DLCs once or twice, but from what I can remember, the rest of the bosses in the Ringed City are really strong. So before we get to those, I decided to head into the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, which is generally considered to be the easier of the two. Though, as I would find out, easier doesn't necessarily mean easy. Oh, roll catch. No. The Grave Tender seemed to summon the Great Wolf at about 50% health, and as you just saw, dealing with the 2 of them at once was not a recipe for success. So I did my best to defeat the Grave Tender before the Great Wolf could reach me. Okay, backstab, into resin, into R1 spam. Shit. Around the pillar. Okay, that's one. Once it's just you and the Great Wolf, the fight isn't so bad. None of its moves could one-shot, and everything seemed to be fairly telegraphed. Oh yeah, dude. GG's. While that only took 4 attempts to beat, this boss could not hold a candle to the next one. So, in preparation for that fight, I upgraded a couple different weapons that I heard were good for soul level 1 runs, picked up the Knight's Ring so that we could wield them, and gave it a go.
I will snuff out these ashes.
Yeah, you probably will. Let's see though. Make use of that. Alright. Don't get one shot. And we're dead. Great attempt! Oh, that's scary. Okay. It took me 3 attempts before I could even get a hit on this boss, so you can probably see where this is going. I've defeated this boss, I think, once before a few years ago, and I must have had a really strong build or something because I had no memory of any of the mechanics. Oh, is she invisible? Where are you? Wait, what's the mechanic?
Return.
It would take me a while to figure it out, but she turns invisible before jumping, usually behind you, though you can always refer to which direction the snow is kicked up to be sure. However, that bit of knowledge wasn't nearly enough to prevent us from getting farmed.
From whence thou camest.
Something clearly had to change, so I decided to check if pairing the boss was a viable option. Unfortunately, we don't have enough strength to one-hit the X's, even with the Knight's Ring, so I had to go back to either the Broadsword or Bandit's Knife now. Okay. It's good damage, too. Okay, phase 2. Okay, maybe parry is the play, because the first time we do parries is working. Phase 2 would turn out to be a major pain point for us, thanks in part to the plethora of one-shotting attacks. Oh god, oh no. And also the fact that there are now 2 bosses to worry about at the same time. While Fried takes on a more passive role in this phase, if you ever get too close, she'll properly aggro, which makes it really tricky to interrupt her healing. Oh, you shit. Fuck. Every phase 2 appearance that I would have required several phase 1 attempts because I wasn't super consistent with the parries. So when I finally reached phase 3 after an hour and a half worth of attempts, I had to make it count. Oh wait, she's way different. Oh my god, wait, she's cracked. Oh. Phase 3 felt like I had stepped into a brand new boss fight. There were a whole slew of brand new one-shotting attacks, and while the Bandit's Knife had performed well thus far, there was no way I was going to build up bleed in Phase 3 with how mobile and aggressive she is. So I decided to finally try out the Dragon Slayer's Axe, where we saw some very solid progress. And after 2.5 hours worth of attempts, it finally happened. Yes! 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 Oh, we don't have to do it again. Let's go. Holy shit, dude. That was really hard. Okay, one DLC down. Next up is my all-time favorite Souls boss, Dark Eater Midir. So naturally, it was time to strip down. You see, Midir doesn't play around. Nearly every one of his attacks will one-shot us regardless of whether or not we're wearing armor. So you might as well get naked to maximize the damage boost from the Flynn's Ring. And the first attempt went about how I expected it to. Shit. While I barely remembered Fried from my few bouts with the DLCs, I remembered Midir quite well. Not because I was good at the fight, but because I died so many times trying to beat him for the first time. Oh. Considering Fried took us 2.5 hours, I was quite worried about this one. So I ended my stream and prepared for a night full of offline Midir practice. But despite needing to effectively no-hit this boss to defeat it, I found this one to be considerably easier than Fried because there weren't 3 totally distinct phases to learn. After just 40 minutes, I felt like I had a really good grasp on this fight and probably could have killed it then and there had I not promised to do it live on stream. So I went live the next day and had a great run going on my 3rd attempt of the session. Oh fuck. No! Dude. He's so close. Yeah, there we go. Jeez. We are up to Half-Light, which is a huge stinker boss and is probably also going to be extremely difficult. For those unfamiliar, at the start of the fight, a Guardian will spawn and you have a brief period of time to try and defeat them before the boss spawns in. Half-Light himself is an NPC type boss, or I guess a real player if you're online, but either way it's a royal pain in the ass at Soul Level 1. Because it's a PvP style boss fight, the boss has a few true combo attacks, and the double R1 just so happens to deal enough damage to kill us even while embered. Dude. And while you can avoid fighting both the Guardian in tandem with the boss if you're fast enough, a second Guardian will spawn when the boss reaches 65% HP. Which is incredibly tragic because this Guardian can and will heal the boss. You little bitch. Oh, that's unfair! But the misery doesn't end there. They parry! Okay, I definitely want to swing into the shield. Oh, and to top it all off, every time you die, you have to listen to this guy yap for 35 seconds before the fight will start. I wasn't sure how many more monologues I could bear, so I put on the most slash-resistant gear that I had, embered up, and hoped it would be enough to survive the R1 combo and get us through this fight. Oh my god, we barely lived that. That's crazy. Okay, is that it? Please tell me that's it. Okay, I'm kinda annoyed that took us so long. And so, only one DLC boss remained.
Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul. For my
Dude, look at this aura farming up there. Okay, we live a hit, that's good. And despite how little damage we were dealing, I found the fight very intuitive, and was able to reach phase 2 on just my 3rd attempt. But any hopes that I had of defeating this boss early were quickly extinguished. Various projectiles had now been introduced alongside an attack that could one-shot us. I also found myself getting baited into going in for what looked like a punish window, only to get blasted back to the bonfire. But eventually, out of what was probably sheer luck, I made it to the final phase. And to my relief, it seemed to play quite similar to phase 2, aside from the lightning, of course. Fucking lightning. No! No! But from that attempt, I knew that with an ember and enough patience, I could do it. Yeah, there we go. As brutal as those DLC bosses were, nothing scared me more than what was up next. Nearly every covenant in the game has a reward that we need for the various collection achievements. In order to get the Dark Moonblade miracle, we have to offer 30 proofs of Concord well kept, a 1% drop from these Silver Knights. I farmed for just under 10 minutes with rusted coins and our gold serpent ring +3, but our current item discovery and or luck wasn't good enough to get a single drop. Luckily, there's one last way we can upgrade our item discovery. Mimics have a 5% chance to drop the Mimic Avarice, an item that boosts the player's item discovery by a whopping 100 points. All you have to do to farm it is throw an Undead Hunter Charm at a Mimic, and it will open up and allow you to collect the loot. I spent 30 minutes farming for this thing and burned through 36 Undead Hunter Charms before I finally got this thing to drop. But with that pre-farm out of the way, it was time to return to the main event. And with our impressive 375 item discovery, I was eagerly awaiting our first drop, though I would be waiting a while. Despite our bolstered item discovery stat, I'd now farmed for 30 minutes without getting a single proof. But as my morale began to falter, something incredible happened. Oh, there's someone else doing it! Oh my god, there's another one. Emboldened by my fellow stair victims, I pressed onwards. There's one. Okay. At our current pace, we'll be done in about 15 hours. As bad as the stairs can be, they're not 15 hours bad. So I knew it was just a matter of time before our luck would turn. Huge proof. And in the end, my first farming session was pretty solid. I managed to get 9 proofs to drop in about 2 hours. My second session would thankfully be even better, earning the remaining 15 proofs we needed in just 2.5 hours, thanks to some cleaner Silver Knight kills and a healthy dose of luck. Oh, and for those wondering why we only farmed out 24 proofs, that's actually all that is necessary in this run. There are 2 guaranteed pickups every new game cycle, and since we have to get to New Game +2 for the endings anyways, that's 6 proofs that we don't have to farm for. And to varying degrees, this applies to the other 5 Covenant farms as well. But don't worry, I know firsthand how boring these Covenant farms are, so I'll skim through the rest of them. While we're still in Anor Londo, I began the second quickest farm for the human dregs. With 1 pickup per new game cycle, and only 10 being required for the sorcery reward, we only had to farm out 7 human dregs, which took us about 30 minutes. Rosaria's Covenant farm was by far the easiest for several reasons. Once again, we only need to pick up 10 Pale Tongues, the drop rate is much more common at 5%, and there are 3 pickups per new game cycle, so we only had to farm out the 1 Pale Tongue. GG's. Okay, we got one first try. The Watchdogs affair on Covenant, on the other hand, was still pretty tough. There's only 1 guaranteed pickup per cycle, and you once again need 30 for the reward. However, what prevents this from being the hardest of the bunch are these 3 relatively weak brew conveniently placed right beside this bonfire. So an hour and a half of farming later, there it is, we're done. And only 2 more Covenant farms remained. But just as I was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, the next farm decided to shatter any delusions that I had of finishing this soon. Yeah, oh yeah, it's these guys. Oh shit. I think he's blocking it. Oh god. No. Okay. This is actually gonna suck so bad. This is the first Covenant farm where I really noticed the drawbacks of being level 1. I wasn't strong enough to one-shot these skeletons, and I couldn't find a super reliable way to fight them one-on-one. Not only that, any luck we once had was completely gone. I somehow maxed out my Titanite shards before seeing a single drop. Unable to acquire Titanite shards due to inventory or storage max. I've never seen that prompt ever. It would end up taking me nearly 50 minutes to get our first vertebrae shackle. There's one. Hey, there's another one. Okay, I'm not sad anymore. And while I thought my luck had turned, just like it did with the Silver Knights, this was followed up by another 50-minute farming session. And this time, I still had nothing to show for it. In total, I had been Covenant farming for 9 hours already. And I was at my wit's end. That was a pain in the ass, and that was terrible. I never want to do that again. And I won't have to, because there's another way to do it, which I'll talk more about later. In the meantime, I began picking up the various rings, sorceries, pyromancies, miracles, and gestures that I missed in this new game cycle. A normally mundane task, but I cannot tell you how excited I was to leave that dreaded Covenant farm behind. Most of these items were super easy to pick up or purchase, with only one real exception. Here we go. Okay. Our shield technique isn't working anymore. If I had to guess, the lava damage comes in from a specific direction, just like any other attack in this game. And we're unfortunately on the wrong side of it now. But there was still hope. We could Ember. We could Ember. Alright, here we go. Oh, dude, it's so close. But thanks to some red bug pellets that I don't think I've ever used in my several hundreds of hours in this game, I was just barely able to make it. GG's, that was scary. Okay. Let's do this, chat. I think I've remembered everything, I hope. We've come very far at level 1. Let's see if we can do this. Soul of Cinder is several leagues easier than most of the DLC bosses Bubblegum had already conquered. We could tank several hits in Phase 1, and in Phase 2, none of his attacks were even close to one-shotting us. Yep. Boom! Okay. First try. Easy. So, I think we summoned the Firekeeper. We gave her the eyes. This should give us a special ending.
Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
Yep. There we go, the end of Fire. I think we're ready to begin Journey 2, chat. I don't think we're forgetting anything. So here we go. In New Game Plus, we have 3 main goals. Pick up any New Game Plus exclusive rings, try not to fail the Patches questline this time, and beat the game for another ending achievement. You might expect this to be rather difficult, because while the enemies have all been buffed, we're still stuck at level 1 and can't upgrade our weapons any further. However, once again compared to the DLC, I was finding the bosses to be a piece of cake. Except Cursed Rotted Greatwood, for some reason. I don't know what happened there. No! Why am I dying to this boss? After about an hour, I had reached the cathedral, where, if you recall, we failed a certain bald man's questline. But I just repeated the same steps I did last time, and Patches showed up. I'm still not sure what happened in the first cycle, but now that he's tricked us, we can take the rafters up to the other side and confront him. You know who I am.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Frustration. Is that the one we missed? Oh, okay, that's all you have to do. I managed to beat most of the bosses first try, and only had to fight one optional boss for the boss weapon. So the rest of this new game cycle went by really fast. And thanks to the Scholar's Ring, I had enough intelligence for the Hidden Body sorcery. This spell turns the player invisible, making the process of running through areas much smoother. So just 3 hours after entering New Game Plus, Bubblegum had already battled his way back to Soul of Cinder. And while he was admittedly a little harder in New Game Plus, we could still survive a hit, so I managed to do it on my second attempt. Oh. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, to link the first flame. Huge achievement. However, before entering the final new game cycle, I realized I was forgetting something. Oh, you know what I totally forgot to do? We never saved that, holy lady. I figured she'd either have left or been killed by now, seeing as we've beaten all the bosses and this is a Dark Souls NPC. But to be safe, I double-checked and was surprised to see her still sitting there. Okay, this is what we were missing. Tears of Denial. Pick that up. Force. And medium heal. Perfect. I also realized I had yet to get the Master of Infusions achievement, but that was easy enough to remedy because we already had all the gems and an array of rotten Groot daggers ripe for infusing. And finally, after rounding up those guaranteed Covenant items, we were ready for the next cycle. Alright, begin Journey 3. The last journey, chat. So we've got a few quest lines that we're going to have to juggle here in order to get the last gestures and spells and whatnot. But it should all be okay. And of course, there's also a set of New Game Plus 2 rings to collect as we do so. I was able to take it easy for the first 2 areas because there weren't any questlines to worry about. But that all changed when we reached the Undead Settlement. Remember that ending that we talked about that requires the player to level? Well, it's because of this guy named Yol of Londor. Okay, so, you guys have all been wondering, I'm sure, how we were going to do this. But, we did just level, yes. Is that against the rules? Absolutely it is. However, We're not going to fight any enemies at all. Instead, I jumped off this wall over and over until we could level up 5 times from Yol. So we got in 5 levels. We should see a dead Yol. There's a dead Yol. And now you're here.
Another matter.
Dignified bow. Okay, that's good. Now that Yuria is here and the next step line of the quest has been reached, we just have to talk to a hidden NPC called Schmeechmenjen, and they'll take us back to Soul Level 1 in exchange for a few dislikes on this video. All jokes aside, I couldn't find any in-game exploits to skip this part of the quest line, but this was the next best option so we could continue the challenge at Soul Level 1. And while we're at it, I can talk about how we're going to obtain the rest of those Covenant items that I gave up on. And don't worry, it doesn't involve Schmeechmenjen. Instead, it's a viewer of mine known as Mr. Magoo. While in either the Mound Makers or Sunlight Warriors Covenants, you can place down a summoning sign using the red sign soapstone to duel another player. And if you're victorious, you'll get the respective Covenant item. With a well-timed slip off a cliff from the host, we were able to average 1 Covenant item every 45 seconds. It's super easy and very efficient if you have someone that's willing to help you out. That being said, it was also pretty boring, so we ended up dueling each other for most of the items. And even still, it only took an hour and a half to gather the 30 medals and 30 shackles, which is less time than it took me to get just 2 shackles the PvE way. So again, shout out to Mr. Magoo. With the Covenant items in hand, I defeated the Curse-Riding Greatwood and stealthed my way to the first Pale Tongue location. This goes towards that Covenant reward and will also start up a new questline that we have to complete for a miracle. If we now return to Firelink and talk to Leonhard, he'll give you a lift key. With it, we can unlock this door at the High Wall of Lothric and challenge this Dark Wraith. Backstab, for old time's sake. After killing the Wraith, he tells us to find Rosaria at the Cathedral of the Deep. But before we can get there, a new questline had entered the fray. This is Henri, and her questline is intertwined with the final ending. So again, it is vital we follow the wiki to a T here. For now, all we have to do is exhaust her dialogue, and she'll move back to Firelink. And from there, we can continue on our path to the cathedral. So, we are going to the Crystal Sage, and hopefully that goes well. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Holy sh... The boss fights have been going a little too swimmingly up to this point, and with the New Game Plus 2 buffs, I knew it was just a matter of time before we hit a wall. But I'd have never guessed it would first materialize in the form of the Crystal Sage. No. No. Dude! Why'd I do that? Why'd I do that? Why would I do that? I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Why? Oh my god. While my Crystal Sage nightmare had ended, as you will see, my boss troubles were far from over. After the fight, I ran my way through the cathedral, picked up another Pale Tongue, and made it to Rosaria's bedchamber, where we can offer one of our Pale Tongues to progress Leonard's questline. And after exhausting his dialogue once more, we can forget about this quest until much later in the game. So after picking up our 10th Pale Tongue, I challenged the Deacons of the Deep, where I would suffer a substantial blow to my ego. Oh my god. That may have been the first time I've ever died to the Deacons of the Deep, and this is definitely the first time I have ever resorted to using Alluring Skulls in this fight. But I was eager to avoid another Crystal Sage situation. Okay, that should be it. That should be it. Okay. From there, I made my way through the swamp to the Keep Ruins bonfire, where just outside we can find Yellowfinger Hazel's summoning sign, thanks to that Pale Tongue that we offered. However, we are far from finished with the summoned NPC gestures. Okay, there's Londor Paleshade, that's one. Dual bow, perfect. So, now we can summon you, and this should be the other gesture. Yeah, that's it. Okay. He's probably gonna die instantly, it's gonna make the boss fight harder. But to my surprise, Gotthard, crazy name by the way, was holding his own, and instead I should have been worrying about my own play. Oh, fuck. Hold. To make matters worse, the Abyss Watchers seem to have hired some help. What? Dude, you asshole. Nope. Dead. Fuck. No. I'm putting too much pressure on ending the playthrough today, and I think because of that, I'm playing worse. And ironically, letting go of the urge to do everything as quickly as possible ended up being the quickest way to get past this fight, because I managed to do it that very same attempt. Oh, yeah. We got it. But man, this is a train wreck so far. While this new game cycle had been anything but smooth up until now, it could have been a whole lot worse because I've yet to fail a questline. And if I wanted to keep things that way, I had to be careful in this next area. Within the catacombs, we can now find a lone Honorary who's searching for Horus. No, have not seen him. We see Honorary once more near the bridge to Gungnir, where she once again asks if we've seen Horus. Nope, haven't seen him. Horus has gone hollow directly underneath this bridge. If we had gone down there, we get an extra dialogue option to tell her about where he is. Had we done so without first killing Horus, Henri would die and we'd fail our quest and subsequently the ending achievement. So it's a good thing I didn't go down there because, as we saw earlier, I was prone to making such dialogue mistakes. From there, we're free to defeat Gungnir, and after adding it to the list of bosses that I had failed to defeat first try this cycle, I arrived at the Church of Yorshka. Exhaust dialogue for ring and gesture. Ring of the Evil Eye, perfect, that's the ring. And Quiet Resolve. That's all gestures! And thanks to Hidden Body and some alluring skulls, the way to Pontiff wasn't bad at all. Do you change now? Yes. Oh no. We've done so much damage. And we're dead. I was really feeling the new game plus 2 buffs in this fight because our parry cheat strategy was much less effective with how little damage we were dealing. So I had to resort to properly fighting phase 2. Luckily, I don't usually rely on parrying Pontiff in my normal playthroughs, so I managed to get through. Which meant that it was now time to finish off Yuria's questline and secure our final ending. So we're getting married. This is how you get married in Dark Souls. We're totally good. We have this ending locked and loaded. But we still had one more quest to finish up. After defeating Aldrich and lighting the profane capital bonfire, we can return to Rosari's bedchamber to find her dead, holding a black eye orb. Turns out John Bloodborne was behind it, so if we travel above Aldrich's boss room, we can use this black eye orb to invade him. Hopefully this guy's not hard. I'm a little worried about it. Unfortunately for me, hard was quite literally in his name. Wonder if I can hit him during his little monologue here. Oh, he could kill me there. Oh, that does so much. Dude. One more. Yes. Yes, Soul of Rosaria. While we could use this soul to revive Rosaria, unfortunately for her, that doesn't give us an achievement. So instead, we're cashing it in for a miracle. Bountiful Sunlight. Huge. Afterwards, I managed to defeat both the Orm and Dancer first try, which means we now have access to every Covenant altar and can finally claim those Covenant rewards. Okay, offer 30. We should get 2 items. Okay, that's 1 down. Hey, buddy. I got 10 human dregs for you. Just for you. Amazing. Thank you, thank you. However, afterwards, I noticed a problem. Okay, well this is a problem. According to my spreadsheet, I should have all of the sorceries. I have no idea how I managed to mark off spells that we never obtained, but all I could do now was go through my inventory and the wiki one spell at a time until I found what was missing. Magic shields. Oh, great magic shield was missed. Found in Earthel Dungeon. Just get it. Yeah, great magic shield. Master of sorceries, we did it. Okay, but we're not done. Because I'm also missing a pyromancy. Profaned Flame. Found at the foot of the giant in Earthel Dungeon. Congrats. Profane Flame. All pyromancies, let's go. Then with the Londor Braille Tome that we bought from Yuria, we can purchase the remaining miracles. Dark Blade. Vow of Silence. Dead Again. Master of Miracles. Okay. It's time for Dragon Slayer armor. At this point in our soul level 1 journey, I was borderline tickling the bosses. So after the first attempt, I decided to try out something new. Dragon Slayer is weak to frost, which we could apply to our broadsword using the frozen weapon sorcery that I picked up in DLC. And while it was by no means easy, the extra help from the frostbite was enough to get us through after a few more attempts. I was expecting a relatively smooth Twin Princes fight, but what I got was a fight that was beginning to rival my struggles with some of the DLC bosses. While not every one of their attacks one-shot, a healthy dose of them did, regardless of whether or not we were embered. What? No! So it took about half an hour and 8 attempts to finally beat it. GG. I was hoping Soul Cinder would be the only boss left. However, while looking through my spreadsheet, I noticed a few New Game Plus 2 rings that were locked behind optional bosses, starting with Osiris. To be honest, if I hadn't been able to survive that insta-charge attack, thanks to Ember and Shield Ring, I'd wager I'd still be stuck on this boss to this day. Okay, we should have it. Okay, that's huge, doing that first try. Now, the question is, where is the Ring of Steel Protection? I think we both know it's past Gungnir. There's no way it is, right? Surely not. Unfortunately, it was. It took a little while, but I managed to get my parry timing down again, and was even able to sneak in a hit before and after the riposte for maximum damage. I think I can just hit him here? Close. But of course, this ring wasn't the only one locked behind an optional boss. The gold covetous serpent ring +2 is found below the Nameless King's arena. So I plunged my way past the ancient wyvern, and despite our now laughable damage output, I managed to defeat the Nameless King in far fewer attempts than in the first game cycle. Oh, we're looking for covetous gold serpent ring +2. There it is. Found it. Huge, gamers. That is so huge. I think we have hopefully just one more boss left. However, before we get to that, there were still a few more rings to pick up. While collecting them, my chat warned me of a weird bug they've heard about where you can pick up every ring without getting the achievement to pop. It happened to me twice, so it's possible. With the fear of that bug still lingering in my mind, I reached the last ring on my list. Do we get the achievement to pop here? Fuck. That should have been it. That should have been it. That's not good. That is not good. Okay, hold on. But of course, as we saw with the spell achievements, there's a much more likely answer to our issue here. So, I started going through my rings one by one until... Oh, I think I found it. Sage ring +1. This has got to be it. Sage's ring +1. Please give me the achievement. Oh god. While the idea of missing another ring seemed incredibly unlikely, to be safe, I removed any duplicate and DLC rings from my inventory and counted up how many we had. 18, 19, 20, 21. We're missing 2! Where's our Ring of Favor +2? That's one of them. That's obvious right there. Let's see if anything jumps out at us. We're missing one. Oh, it's Flame Stone Plate 1. Yes! No bug! Let's go! And with that, just one boss stood in between Bubblegum and 100%ing Dark Souls 3. What is it? Spear? I think I'm okay with Spear. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Phase 2. Whoa. No! We got grabbed! Oh, we're alive. We're alive. Holy shit. One, two. Yes, dude. Okay, first try. Alright, if I'm not mistaken, all we have to do now is link the flame. And that should choose the correct ending, triggering both the final achievements. This looks evil. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This looks real evil. This is Bubblegum's true ending. Everybody knows. Boom! All achievements, gamers. Every single achievement in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 have been claimed. And if you haven't seen Bubblegum take on either of those two games yet, you can check those videos out here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.